Good evening, and we begin tonight with an explanation from congressional candidate Joe Kent amidst mounting questions about his employment and whether the company he says he works for even exists.
Tonight, Kent's campaign says the confusion comes down to a clerical error on their part. They say they've been using the wrong name of the company. Catherine Cook talked with Kent's campaign staff tonight and got a look at his tax documents, but there's still a lot of questions.
An article published by the Daily Beast asked, what exactly is American Enterprise Solutions? According to multiple campaign documents filed by Joe Kent, it's the company the Washington 3rd Congressional District candidate works for. But when KGW searched several databases, none showed any public record of an American Enterprise Solutions. It took nearly 48 hours for Kent's campaign to respond to the confusion. No one wanted to address it at this Monday night campaign appearance. But on Tuesday night, they offered this answer. By email, they told us Kent and his campaign have been calling Kent's employer by the wrong name. They clarified, saying the correct name is Advanced Enterprise Solutions. They say it had been American Enterprise Solutions in 2019 when the firm hired Kent. But they say the company switched its name to Advanced shortly after that. Kent's campaign shared these partial tax documents with us. The W-2 forms from the last 2 years show the new name. But when KGW searched for Advanced Enterprise Solutions, we found more confusion. State business records in Virginia, where the company is based, show its business license is no longer active. A closer look shows the company did not pay its annual registration fee that was due in August. Kent's campaign tells us that Advanced Enterprise Solutions collects research related to 5G technology. By email, Kent's senior policy advisor Matt Brainerd said he's to blame for this financial disclosure report filed with the House Ethics Committee in April. He says he used the wrong company name and has since filed an amendment to correct it. But as the Daily Beast first reported, there were more than 24 other documents, including donation forms submitted by Kent's campaign and even an in-person campaign event where they used the wrong business name. Kent's opponent, Democrat Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez, says the confusion is concerning.
The fact remains that there wasn't clarity in a lot of initial statements and a lot of very serious paperwork that's been filed for the last almost 2 years. And I think that these records deserve close attention and to be taken seriously.
It's a lot to follow. Kent's campaign also shared a statement they say comes from attorneys for Advanced Enterprise Solutions, seemingly confirming his employment and explaining the business's desire to keep a low profile. It said in part, Joe Kent is employed by a U.S. company which does not wish to be identified, only because while their employees are free as individuals to participate in politics, they as a company do not. Laurel.
Well, we will look for any new developments. Thank you, Catherine, for catching us up. And tonight, we are following a shooting turned homicide investigation in North Portland. Portland police say at about 9 o'clock tonight, a man was found shot on North Peninsular Avenue. Paramedics did what they could, but the man died at the scene. North Peninsular Avenue remains closed at this hour. No arrests have been made. Students worried about gun violence walked out of classrooms across Oregon today. They were showing support for Measure 114, which would enact some of the strictest gun control rules in the country. In Portland, hundreds of Grant High School students walked out of class. They're upset about what happened last week outside Jefferson High School, where 2 students were hurt in a shooting. They hope Measure 114, which is on the ballot, would help reduce gun violence. It would require gun buyers to get permits issued by police, add heightened background checks, and ban magazines that hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition.
This measure is historic, and it's very important, and it's time we get something in our Oregon legislation that addresses gun violence head-on, like Measure 114.
Meanwhile, the Oregon State Sheriff's Association opposes the measure. They argue it will put the community at greater risk for gun violence because scarce public resources will be needed for issuing permits and doing background checks instead of protecting the community. The Oregon Firearms Federation also opposes it, saying it will harm people who are trying to get a firearm to protect themselves and their families.
Crime Stoppers is offering a $2,500 reward tonight to find a serial tire slasher. Portland police, you might remember, say early in the morning on October 1st, a man went through the Roseway neighborhood and one by one methodically punched gashes in tires on as many as 65 cars. Imagine waking up to that. The suspect, who was recorded on home security video, is about 6 feet tall and about 250 pounds. Anyone with information can call Crime Stoppers or Portland Police. Well, tonight we want to introduce you to a new KGW series called Injustice. It zeroes in on a critical system in Oregon that is widely understood to be near a breaking point. We are talking about the chronic shortage of public defenders, which impacts nearly everybody who comes into contact with the justice system, from victims to suspects to the lawyers themselves. So tonight, investigative reporter Kyle Iboshi focuses on unrepresented defendants, including some who face a difficult choice: wait in jail for who knows how long, or try to represent themselves.
Will DeWeese admits he's outmatched. It's not a fair fight. The 43-year-old handyman has no legal training or law degree. Yet for 3 weeks, DeWeese sat in the Washington County Jail on burglary and theft charges with no lawyer. He was on his own to challenge prosecutors and navigate a complex legal system.
You don't know what's happening because they're speaking in a language that, unless you're trained, you don't know what it means, and they don't take the time to explain it.
Statewide, there are nearly 1,300 criminal defendants without legal representation. They haven't been appointed a lawyer.
You have a constitutional right to have representation.
Yes, sir.
You're not getting it?
No, sir.
What does that mean?
It means I'm scared. It means I'm nervous. I'm being pushed through the system.
The state's public defender system, which provides lawyers for those who can't afford them, has been underfunded for decades. But a backlog of cases from the pandemic has pushed it to a breaking point.
We are at a crisis in our public defense system.
In Multnomah County, defendants are routinely arraigned and then have their hearing dates postponed in hopes a public defender will be available several weeks later.
I went to court like 5 times and they're like, nope, no attorney for you.
Eric Lane, who's facing a single count of felon in possession of a firearm in Washington County, got so fed up waiting for a public defender that he decided to act as his own attorney.
So I've been here since July 27th. I went 40 days without an attorney, and I was like, out of desperation, I said, can I represent myself?
A week later, Lane withdrew his request for self-representation after realizing it was just too hard to get case files and review evidence in jail. Not to mention, he was in over his head.
I'm like desperate for help.
Not having legal representation right after an arrest can cause a cascade of problems for criminal defendants. Evidence can be lost or erased, and witnesses may become difficult to track down.
What have you lost in not having representation in these initial few weeks of your case?
You make me cry. I've lost time with my kids, time with my mom.
DeWeese believes he would have been released from jail sooner if he had a lawyer. He worries about his 2 children, missing work, and unpaid bills.
The toll is heavy, man. The price is heavy. It's me not being there to work and help and take care of the family in all the ways I normally do. It makes it 10 times harder for everybody else.
On October 5th, DeWeese finally got a lawyer. A judge appointed him a public defender nearly 3 weeks after his arrest.
Obviously, I've made mistakes. I'm here, but I'm not a bad guy. I'm not hurting people. I have nothing violent on my record, and you know, I just want to go home like anybody else. I just want to go home.
It's Kyle Iboshi reporting there. There are other strands to the story, including how the shortage of lawyers impacts those who have already suffered so much, the victims of crimes. Part 2 is available now in the story section of KGW.com and on our YouTube page. Be sure to check out the story that is every weekday at 6 for in-depth looks at the big issues affecting our community, only here on KGW.